Let's talk about 6 common home buying myths and facts. Like any major life and financial decision, buying a home can take a great amount of research and planning. The housing market continually evolves, so it's important that you do your research on vital housing questions such as interest rates, down payments, and prices of homes in your area. So let's look at some of the top home buying myths that might be keeping you on the fence. I don't have a perfect credit score, so I can't get a house. This is one of the most common home buying myths, and one that's holding back a big number of buyers. Just because you don't have a credit score in the 700s or the 800s doesn't mean you can't buy a house. Did you know that the minimum score to buy a home with a conventional loan is in the low 600s? And the minimum score to buy a home with an FHA loan is in the 500s. Yep, with a lower score, you might have a higher interest rate, but you may still be able to buy a home. As rates come down and your credit improves, you may also be able to refinance that loan to a lower rate, and it'll lower your payments. So if you're set to buy a home, as a lender, I have credit repair partners that can help you through credit repair, which will help you qualify for a lot of different loan types in a shorter amount of time than you might think. If I have a bad credit score, I'll be stuck with a bad interest rate for 30 years. When people think like that, they sometimes miss out on buying a home at the best time financially. Just because you have a high rate today doesn't mean you're going to have that high rate for the full term of your loan. You can always look into a refinance to reset, and you probably should do that anyway. If you refinance when the interest rate drops, that could sometimes lead to hundreds of dollars of savings every month. Only people who make a lot of money can afford a house these days. The important factor is your debt to income ratio. If you have a lot of other debt, such as credit cards, student loans, and car payments and stuff like that, you won't be able to afford as high of a mortgage as you would like. If you don't have a lot of other debt such as those things, then you'll have a better debt to income ratio, which will then mean that you could potentially qualify for a higher mortgage. 36% or low is considered an okay debt to income ratio. Look at the average cost of a home in the US right now. That's the average. That also means that there's other homes that are less than that average on the market, depending on where you live. It's cheaper to rent. Sometimes. When you rent, though, you never see your money again. But when you buy, you get it back in the future, and likely for more than what you purchased it for if you go to sell it after a period of time. In most markets, it's still the case that each square foot is cheaper to buy than to rent. Remember, when you buy a home, it's an investment. So it may be a couple of $100 more a month, but you'll see the difference when you go to sell your home in the future. And even if you decide not to sell it, you'll likely have gained so much equity in the home over a period of time, it won't even matter. It's impossible to save 20% down. Did you know that conventional loans have a 3% minimum down payment? FHA loans only ask for as low as 3.5%. And of course, VA and USDA loans are 0 down. So it's not necessary to pay 20% down on a home. Some mortgage lenders even occasionally open up programs that allow you to put as little as 1% down on programs, up to a certain amount of the home. I'm too young or old to buy a home. Age shouldn't be the determining factor when you buy a home. It should be more dependent on where you are financially and if you're ready for a mortgage payment and all of the other expenses that may come with buying a house. If you find yourself in a stable job and you're actively paying off debt in other areas of your life, it's a good idea to start talking to me as your mortgage lender about what steps to take to begin the home buying process. Home buying myths are just that. They only hold power over you that you grant to them. If you've been letting perceptions keep you from buying a new home, reach out to me to find out what your options might be to get you into your new home.